Hey everyone, welcome back to another part. In this one we're going to talk about landscape material. I'll show you how to enable this nanite displacement in this one because it is not on by default for 5.3.2. So we're going to have to dig around some of the config file to make sure that it is on. And we're going to create a brand new landscape blend material from scratch. We're going to use 3-layer blending. It is going to be quite easy if you follow along quite closely, and we're going to create some parameters and expose them so that we can manipulate in the material instance once we have created material instance. So this is going to be a bit long, but make sure you stick with it, because once you have done once, what you can do for your future projects is that you can migrate it to any project that you're working on, and you can replace the textures in the material instance and you can use it anytime you want. So let's get this started. Before you do anything, make sure you have closed your Unreal Engine. Save everything and close it, because once we have dug into all of the config file, it won't be taking effect unless you restart your Unreal Engine. So once you've closed your files, you need to open two folders. The first is the course template folder that you have downloaded in the previous part, and the second is your project folder that you have created, which is the abandoned church. Now let's go into our course template folder, and in config, let's open up default engine. Let's right click, open with a notepad. Now scroll down until you see script engine rendered settings. And under here, you'll see two of the last entries for this category. Now what we want to do is select these two, which are the R-nanite allow tessellation 1 and R-nanite tessellation 1. You're going to have to select this two and then Control C to copy. Let's close this now because we don't need it anymore. And let's go into our config folder in our abandoned church project folder. And let's open the default engine again with notepad. Let's scroll down until you see script engine rendered settings. And now let's click on the last entry over here and then hit enter to create a new line. And let's paste this over here. Once you have done that, let's file and save. When you paste it, make sure you have a space left out between the new script and the old script, because it could get into some problems. So make sure there's a space in between. So yeah, once you have done that, let's save it, and now you have successfully enabled nanite displacement. To check this, let's open our Unreal Engine 5.3 again. Now let's open up our project folder, project file. Now it's going to compile some shaders again because we just enabled nanite displacement. So let it compile for a bit and then it will launch the editor. Now you have enabled nanite displacement and also launch your project. So let's go into our levels and open up abandoned church level. This is where we ended in the last part. Now we're going to create our brand new landscape material. So let's go into content and let's create a new folder because I want things to be organized. So let's create a new folder and let's call this landscape. Double click it and let's right click and create a new material over here. Now let's call this M landscape mat. If you want to rename this, just right click and rename, or just select it and F2 and you can rename it. Let's double click on this material and you'll see this node editor over here. To navigate, hold right click to drag around, and scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out. You can move around with your left click. You can connect the nodes with your left click as well. Now in this material, you can see displacement option being turned on. That means you have successfully enabled nanite displacement. One thing to know about nanite displacement is that since it's not on by default for 5.3, every time you make a new project, you're going to have to go into the config file and paste in those two entries in the render settings and then save it. If not, you won't get the displacement option over here. So now it's time to make our landscape material. What we're gonna do is we're gonna mix in 3 materials that we're gonna download from 6CREAT. So all these 3 materials have 3 texture. One is the base color, one is the normal, and one is 3 textures combined in different channels. So roughness, ambient occlusion, and displacement combined together, which I'll show you later on once we have done the material instance. But before we get into the material instance, we want to make sure that we have some placeholder images so that we can place in over here without having to download them for now, because if you download and migrate it to another project for this material, you're going to migrate all those materials as well, and the project size can be big. So I've created a placeholder image for you. So go into your course template folder again, and under content and landscape, you'll see placeholder folder over here. Now this is an image texture. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag this into our content browser over here to import it. Now you will see this landscape material placeholder image over here. To use this in the material node graph, all you have to do is drag and drop again. That simple. So now we have this placeholder image texture. Now you can plug it in base color to see how it looks over here. Now to navigate this ball, left click to rotate around, right click to zoom in and zoom out, or you can use your scroll wheel as well. Now we're going to be blending 3 layers together. You're going to want to stay close to every step of the way. By the way, if you want to disconnect any of these nodes, just control and click on the end or the start, and then just release it. Once you see this box, just click away and you'll disconnect it. Now to mix 3 textures, we have to make sure that all 3 textures are set. So let's make 3 sets of 3 textures together. So let's choose this, and then let's duplicate this, and let's duplicate this again. So we have 3 textures together, and now we're going to duplicate this 3 times. Sorry. Make sure you separate them. Control D to duplicate. Now let's organize this a little bit better. So here we have 3 sets of 3 textures. So we're going to be mixing all those together. Now first of all, what we're going to do is, since it's a landscape material, we're going to have to search for blend and scroll down, and you'll see landscape layer blend. You can also search for landscape layer blend, and you'll get this right away. Now in here, you'll see there's no input sockets. To enable that, you have to go to the details panel on the left, and just click on these 3 icons. Just click on this icon 3 times. Now you'll see all these sockets now. What we can do here is we can name this, the first one we're going to name this grass. The second one we're going to name this, actually we're going to make this material as a material instance, so we don't really need to name it. Let's just call this layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. So once that is done, we're gonna connect the first. This is going to be our base color texture. So just connect this like this, and then connect this like this, and connect this like this. So these all of these three are going to be the base color of three different textures. So bear with me here, and the output just connect it to base color. Now, everything that you're seeing can be a bit confusing, but it all gonna make sense once we have created the material instance. So let's duplicate this and let's go under here. These are going to be our normal textures. So for normal textures as well, let's just place it here, here, and here. And then let's connect normal into here. Now the last part is going to be a bit tricky because we're going to be using all the R, G, and B. So we need another one. First of all, let's connect our R into here, another R into here, and another R into here. Now this is going to be connected into the ambient occlusion because a lot of the Quixel maps are using ORD channel. So ORD meaning ambient occlusion, roughness, and displacement in the respective order, which is red, green, and blue. So the red will be ambient occlusion, green will be the roughness, and blue will be the displacement. So let's duplicate this once more, and let's connect the greens together, like so. And then as for the green, which is R, we're going to plug it into roughness. Sorry, I accidentally connected to specular, so control and click and plug it back into roughness. And finally, we're going to connect all the blues together. Then we're going to connect this into displacement. Now, you can stop here and call this a day because this is already a blended, it's a landscape material blend, but we want to take it a step further. What we can do is right here, we want to make some of these a parameter. So first of all, let's right click and let's change it to parameter. Now let's name this layer 1. Let's just call this base color. And now you have this parameter. Actually, let's rename this so that we can make sure that which is which layer. So if you select this and check out parameter name, you'll see base color. Let's just add a little 1 next to it. The second one as well, let's right click, convert to parameter, and let's call this base color 2. The third one, right click, convert to parameter, base color 3. Now the reason we're making these parameters is that by doing this, once you have created a material instance, you'll be able to swap out all the textures that you want for each of them separately. Now what we can do is even group them so that all the sliders and all the textures are related to each other. So for instance, if we click on base color 1 and go to group, then let's actually name this layer 1. Now you'll see layer 1 in the list now. But for base color 2, we don't want this in layer 1 because we want this in layer 2. And as for base color 3, we want this in layer 3. So once we have done that, we're going to have to do all these for other as well. So this is the normal texture. So normal 1. And then in group, we don't have to type it anymore because we've already created the layer. So let's just select that. And for this one, let's convert to parameter again. And then normal 2. Then layer 2. This one, we're going to name this. We're going to create a parameter and name this normal 3. And in group, go to layer 3. Now this one too, let's create a parameter, convert to parameter. And this one is the ambient occlusion. So let's say AO1 and select this to layer 1. Oh, sorry. This is not just AO, this is ORD. So ORD 1, and then go to layer 1, and then right click, convert to parameter, ORD 2, and change this group to layer 2, and then let's right click, convert to parameter, and ORD 3. So set this to layer 3, and you have successfully made a parameter. So click on apply, let's click save, and let's see how it looks as a material instance. So to do that, right click on your material and create material instance. And here what we want to do is have the prefix mi and delete the instance at the back, and then hit enter. Once you've created it, double click on it, and you'll see all these parameters laid out nicely with the groups. So this is what we're trying to create. All of the parameters that we're going to make, it will all be sorted out with layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3, which is very convenient for us once we have used the materials nicely. But anyway, for this part, I think it is going on long enough. So we're going to get into part 2 in the next one.